Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of Radiorama where I show you how to work on radios, stereos, and finally, as I used to say all the time, televisions. Our museum doesn't really get these anymore. Um, I've really had a hankering for working on one, so when one came up as a donation, I was like, I'll take it. Now, granted, the board members might hate me for doing this, but I've already taken the back off. I wanted to see what was going on in here. Of course, unlike radios where there's lots of documentation, I couldn't find any documentation on this. I'm pretty sure it's a black and white set. And I'm looking at the tubes here. There's no brightener on it, which is a really good thing. Usually when you see a brightener, that's bad news. And the person that donated this said that his father bought it and like literally a year or two later bought a color television and set this aside. So it could be that maybe it doesn't have a lot of hours on it, which would be fantastic, because buying tubes, picture tubes, is not easy anymore. Picture tube has an integral protective window. I'm guessing that must be the shield on the front. There was a time period where when picture tubes imploded, it would be catastrophic. So this is probably the shield. I don't see any cataracts or anything here, so that's also good. Knobs have a fair amount of use on them. So I'm going to bring it up very slowly. It's key to do it slowly on televisions. I just want to see if we've got any life. Does the CRT have life? And if it does, if the electrolytic capacitors aren't short, which they probably are, will it make a picture? This is really not that complicated of a chassis. It looks like this is just it. Some of these are real bare to get off, but it looks like I can remove this easily without having to remove the picture tube, which is nice. This is probably the fly. Ooh, uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. I see something bad here. That's the flyback transformer. And that doesn't look good at all. That looks really bad. This thing might be toast before I even get started. I mean, maybe it just got hot. I don't know. But that's not a great sign when you have that sign of obvious heat. Oh shit. Well, worst comes down to worst, it won't work. Then I might be in the market for a flyback transformer. I don't have any of this stuff sitting around. Like I'm mostly working on radios. But we'll see. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. All right, here we go. Word to the wise, if you've not worked on TVs before, these guys, the CRTs, can store a humongous static charge. And if you touch the anode in the wrong place, you can get all of that voltage right across your arms, across your heart. That can be pretty dangerous. I don't have a lot of expectation that this guy's going to work, but let's go ahead and bring it up to at least 50%. And I figured nothing's going to happen at 50%. Let's bring it up slowly. Nothing yet. It's 70%. Okay, I'm starting to see filament. It's hard to see in the sun, but I do see filament on the CRT. Keeping an eye on this flyback. I hear static. All right, we're at full tilt. Again, I'm just going to hang out here for just a minute. See if that damn flyback transformer decides to shit out on me. All right. Let's check out the front, see if there's anything. Brightness. I don't see a picture at all. Time to take a look in the back again, make sure we're not melting. Where's our additional adjustments back here? Either the flyback is open or... Ouch. Can't you tell I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing? Let's see, what is this? Contrast control. I think it's safe to say that we don't have a picture. Go ahead and turn it off. There we go. Something smells roasty back here. I'm not going to get close to touching that. I'm not going to touch that damn fly-off transformer. I am going to try to discharge it. I'm going to see how hot that thing's getting. Well, I'm going to admit that I'm not a television expert. And I can't find a schematic of this guy, but I did test all the continuity between the leads and the flyback transformer, and they seem like it has continuity. I mean, I'm not sure what the ohms readings are supposed to be, but it doesn't seem like it's open. Now, the other thing is that the grid cap was completely filled up with wax, and so I had to clean all that shit out of there. The high voltage rectifier seems to be testing good. I haven't tested the other tubes. We know we have filament on the CRT, so it could be a B+ supply issue, given that we have nothing but old electrolytic capacitors in here. I sure would like to know if that flyback is good, because if it isn't, then I'm going to have to stop this project right away and find a replacement if one exists, even though this looks pretty generic as far as a flyback goes. Welcome back to day 2 of me making an idiot out of myself working on a television. So I realized I've forgotten a lot about working on these guys. I was on the phone last night with one of my friends, and he suggested a few things. Number one, the sweep tube on these guys can get nailed pretty hard, and that can cause you to lose picture. But before I do anything else, I'm going to test the arc of the flyback transformer. That involves taking this plunger and anode connection off of the back of the CRT. Now, it's not easy to get at, but here's something that's super important. CRTs will hold a static charge almost indefinitely once they've been fired up. So you touch the wrong thing, you can get absolutely nailed. So I do not recommend anyone watching this, especially anyone who's never worked on a television, don't do what I'm about to do. These are a whole different ball of wax compared to a radio, which doesn't really have near the amount of charge, the types of charges running through the system. So we need to essentially discharge the TV or discharge the tube, and that involves pulling this off. And the old-fashioned way of doing it, and I've been told the wrong way to do it, is to get a screwdriver and make sure and touch chassis ground. That should be easy because we got chassis ground right here. When I pull this off, the anode connector is right there. I can just put the screwdriver against here and gently touch that connection. That'll discharge it. And then we can essentially pull that off and hold it with a tool with very well insulated handles, fire it up and see if we see any sort of arc. And it'll be a visible arc. It'll be essentially like a little miniature bolt of lightning. Now, yesterday when I had this fired up, I felt like I could hear the flyback, so I think it might be okay. According to a lot of people I've talked to, the melty wax on these is not exactly uncommon. It happens, so it's not necessarily indicative of a failed flyback. But I want to confirm that it's not bad, because if it is, I'm going to have to halt the project until I can find a replacement. And the flyback transformers are fairly specific per each set. So I would need to track one down, and if I can't, then I really can't get much further on this set. So we're gonna give this a shot. Okay, so you see I've pulled the anode connection off, and we have this little. It's kind of hard to film, but we're going to do this number here. All right, I'm just going to touch. All right, so here comes the fun part. We're going to see if we can get an arc off of this bad boy. Let me get my insulated pliers. All right, so let's go ahead and plug it in. I feel like I shouldn't be doing this one-handed with a camera. Let me get my stupid camera holder. Okay, so me and my friend Rajesh have been working on this set, and we found what the stupid problem was. At least, well, Rajesh found out what the problem was, which is this tube socket was dirty. So it was preventing high voltage from getting to the flyback. And so now we have raster. God, that looks crazy. I guess can't film these things with camera phones. But you can hear the high current in the flyback now. So thanks, Raj. Well, I had to interrupt my television restoration duties because we got a new batch of stuff that just came in. Record players, reel-to-reel players, early stuff. But more importantly, lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff for me to make future YouTube videos out of. So, especially this guy, I love this one. Japanese market. Panasonic. They called themselves National before switching over to Panasonic. There's another Yachtman. I just repaired one of these. It's a Globetrotter, but this one's called a Yachtman. Interesting. Some solid state. Good stuff.
There is no contrast control.
Yeah, there is in the back.
It's in the back.
Yeah. That big stick thing in the back. Alright, I'm back home. I decided to leave the guts out of the TV while I continue working on the chassis. I'm going to clean up some of these tube sockets because there's definitely some intermittent issues with the sound and some of the video components. But since the TV is now nice and lightweight and gutted, I'm going to take this opportunity to clean it up a little bit because it's got a nice design. The other thing is I've got some burned out light bulbs in some of the station indicators. And luckily I did find the correct bulbs. I just have to find a way to extract these guys. But the good news, it works pretty well now. The issue was this socket. I'm not sure if you could overhear me with all those people talking. And I was able to find a new old stock damper tube. If the damper tube goes bad, then this guy won't work, period. But mostly recapped it here. We have, well, Rajesh did these guys. I did all these guys around here. We got a couple more paper caps I want to replace anyway. Just leave it sit here like that. And I'm going to go over the case with my favorite products. I'm going to use some Howard's Restore Finish and some Old English furniture restoring crap. This is a few of the radios I brought home today. I'm going to start working on these next week. I've even got a Voice of Music record changer. If Brett's watching, I'm sure he'll love that. He loves Voice of Music stuff. Also brought home this interesting Scott Stereo Master miniature component stereo unit where you can hook up little speakers. It probably sounds pretty good. It's good quality. Definitely can't wait to work on the Panasonic here either. Oh, and my friend Jules, he gave me this. This is a coffee coaster for Ohm's Law, in case I need to be reminded. Thanks, Jules. Okay, so the rest of the chassis has been recapped. I kind of like the fact that most of these guys are ceramics. You don't have to screw around with those. And I'm certainly glad nothing's bad in this guy here. That is a complicated integrated circuit. Now, what I also need to do is clean the pots. There's our on-off volume pot and our brightness pot. You can see where we have these little slots where the different leads go in, and you just want to douse that with cleaner, contact cleaner. Work it back and forth, make sure and clean the wiper real well. And we'll do this other one over here. Looks like we've got two compounded pots together. Jesus, I sprayed way too much. And again, work that in. And we want to clean our wafer switch back here as well. Turn our channels. Get those all... it's hard to do this one-handed. Meanwhile, the cabinet turned out quite well. I kind of doused it in both of those things I mentioned, Howard's and Old English, and I followed up with some beeswax. And I also cleaned the screen. And it's interesting, sets in the 50s typically had like a piece of tempered glass in the front, so if the CRT imploded, it would nail that and not get past it versus bursting out into the living room. But later they started bonding a window to the front of the CRT. So I'm not sure if you can get this on the camera here, but there's a thick piece bonded to that picture tube. And when you start getting into the 60s, the implosions were more controlled versus being chaotic, like in the 50s. I think this has turned out pretty well. Anyway, I think that's going to call it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to do a reassembly, and I also need to order a video conversion kit. What I'd like to do in order to make this usable again for somebody is to make an HDMI input. So if someone wants to, I don't know, plug in their Roku or watch YouTube videos or whatever they can on this thing, even though it's black and white. And if you're used to looking at high definition, this is definitely not the TV for you, but who knows, maybe someone will want it. Good morning, welcome to the third day of working on the television set, the Packard Bell. And you don't have to do this, but I don't know. I cleaned the interior of the cabinet and the picture tube itself. It's interesting. The picture tube is actually an RCA. Now, I don't think Packard Bell made any of their own tubes, so it's likely this is the original tube that came with the set. And I certainly don't see any evidence that any of the hardware that holds it in has ever been loosened. But still, it's amazing that the picture tube's quite bright, even though it seems like the set might possibly have had quite a bit of hours on it. Last thing I'm going to do before I put this back in is I need to figure out which one of these is bad. Not easy to get out, but I'm going to shine a flashlight down on these filaments, see if I can figure out which one is out. I guess what I could do, actually, I got an awful feeling here. Oh no, they're fucking soldered in. That's like super lame. What a dumb design. Really? Well, I guess I'll just test all these little pins and figure out which one doesn't have continuity, and I guess I'll have to unsolder the one that's bad then. I actually went over to the supply place at the museum and got some replacement light bulbs. This is the little window that goes in front of that light array. Crap, they must have fallen out in there. There, they look like that, so I need to figure out which one of those is bad. Well, none of the lights were actually bad. I think I just had a dirty contact here, because what I did is not only did I ohm everything out and found that they all had continuity, but just to make double sure, because this is a pain in the butt to get in and out of there, I individually lit each and every one of these with my little DC supply device, and they're all good. So that's one last thing I have to deal with, because getting those out of there was not going to be fun. They must have... I'm trying to figure out how they installed this plastic box. How's it hold on there? Oh well, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we've got the chassis done. Last night I went in and cleaned all the tube sockets. Cleaned up the chassis even. I don't know why. I mean, no one's going to see this, but I just like knowing that it's all cleaned up. And so now I'm going to put it back in the case. And the other thing I did this morning is I ordered a HDMI to RF converter. And that way, whoever gets this can run whatever they want through it. They could run a laptop or a Roku device, and they could stream music through it. And in other words, you know, here in the US, they got rid of over-the-air broadcasting quite a while ago. So either you need to have a converter to pick up the digital signal, or use it as a, you know, just a monitor. I get a feeling whoever gets this thing is just going to use it to watch whatever on it, even though I can't imagine the quality of the image being all that amazing. I mean, we tend to forget just how crappy TV used to look. And I mean, I'm old enough to where I remember having to, you know, adjust the rabbit ears and give it a whack. Well, I'll show you something that's annoying. This is actually taking way too much time. So somehow I lost one of these speed nuts that holds the panel to the front here, and I was like, oh well, I'll just like dig through my collection of like loose nuts and bolts. I've been digging through my stuff, multiple boxes of nuts and bolts, for probably 45 minutes. And I don't know what thread that is, but I can't find anything that'll fit. And you're like, surely to God, it's got to be something common. I hate these things, by the way. These little, it's like, I've talked to people that were in the manufacturing industry back in then. They're like, if you could shave off half of a penny, you were considered a hero. And that's what that was. Someone was like, hey, look, we can spend less money on metal by making these little stamped up speed nuts. Hateful little things. They're hard to get started. I'll find one eventually, but I could have had this thing back together again if I hadn't lost that nut. All right, well, I finally got it all back together again. I did find a speed nut that fit, so we got everything snugged back in. I hope to God the thing still works. This is not easy to put together. All right, so let's go ahead and fire it up. Oh no! Crap! Did I really do that? I put the fucking numbers in wrong. It's upside down. Well, anyway, let's see. Hopefully we're going to see a picture here any minute. Well, I'm wondering if this tube socket has wiggled itself loose again. Because we've lost picture again. Very fascinating, to say the least. Oh wait, I had the brightness all the way down. Fuck me. Of course, this is miserable to watch being filmed. But I'm going to have to take the damn panel out here and put these numbers in so that they're not upside down. Sometimes I wonder how in the fuck I can get so stupid sometimes. That's completely upside down. Oh well. That's it for now. I'm going to have to wait for the whatever you call it, HDMI to RF adapter anyway. That's a sign of a good, strong CRT when you got a nice dot that just stays on for a little bit and fades away. Okay, so got the numbers installed right. I'm not sure if I can film this since I'm filming it in the sun, which is stupid. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Hooray. Well, I've got to wait for the HDMI to RF conversion kit to come in, but in the meantime I think I'm going to apply a little more oil to this finish, maybe do some car wax, but she's coming along. Alright, well this is probably about as far as I'm going to go with this episode. Right now I'm running a RF signal from, we have a generator downstairs with a bunch of little video clips. You can see this line going up here. That's probably because my video camera on the phone is out of sync with the synchronization of the TV, because what I see is a clean picture. Now, picture tube is good and bright because it's daylight coming in here and I can see it pretty cleanly. Again, I'm imagining you're seeing this. That's not showing up when I look at it in person, so you'll just have to use your imagination. Anyway, so I think this marks the conclusion of this episode of Radiorama, except this time it wound up being Television-rama. I know it was kind of a weird episode, but it's been a while since I've worked on some TVs, and I appreciate some of the many fine volunteers that were able to help me figure this out. So until the next time, a piece of obsolete electronic comes across my workbench. See you guys next time. Adios.